Who was Claude Monet? How did he go from being bankrupt to building one of the world's most famous garden homes? Let's dig into how Monet became the master of Impressionism. Claude Monet was born on November 14, 1840 in Paris. So in 1845, Monet's family moved here to the beautiful town of Le Havre. It is beautiful, picturesque, as you can see, because we are right on the ocean. And not only did Monet want to paint here and love to paint here, many artists have painted in this exact location. Lots. Now, Monet's family, they lived here, but of course, Monet's father wanted him to go into the family grocery store business, but Monet had nothing to do with that. So, of course, he had to paint what he saw. And many artists, like I said, have painted here. And the reason being, the sun, plenty of sunshine, and there's a direct train route right from Paris to here. Absolutely beautiful city you have to visit. On the beaches of Normandy in about 1856, he met fellow artist Eugène Boudin, who became his mentor and taught him how to use oil paints. Boudin taught Monet en plein air, outdoor painting techniques, which would come in handy. He was 16 years old when his mother died. He left school and went to live with his aunt, Marie Lecadre. When Monet traveled to Paris to visit the Louvre, he witnessed painters copying from the old masters. Monet, having brought his paints and other tools with him, would instead go and sit by a window and paint what he saw outside. Monet was in Paris for several years and met painters who would become friends and fellow impressionists. One of those friends was painter Edouard Manet. In 1861, Monet joined the army in Algeria, but after contracting typhoid, his aunt had him discharged, but only if Monet agreed to take an art course at a university. Monet agreed, but could not stand the traditional way art was taught at universities. So in 1862, he became a student of Charles Glier in Paris and met artists such as Pierre-Auguste Renoir. This group of artists started sharing their techniques, painting the effects of light with broken color and rapid brushstrokes. This technique later became famous around the world as Impressionism. Monet's Camille, or the woman in the green dress, brought him recognition in 1866 and was one of many paintings featuring his future wife, Camille Dancieux. Despite his success as a painter and the birth of their first child, Jean, in 1868, Monet was in financial distress and even attempted suicide by throwing himself in the Seine. After spending time in England, he moved back to Paris, where he lived in a village on the Seine painting some of his best-known works. Unfortunately, just a few years later in 1879, Monet's wife Camille died of tuberculosis, and Monet painted her on her deathbed. Monet, who now had 2 sons to take care of by himself, took his grief and painted some of his most powerful works, from countrysides to seascapes. In 1883, Monet moved to Giverny with his 2 sons, his friend Alice, and her 6 children. They would later get married in 1892, and Monet would spend the rest of his life building the most beautiful garden and painting just about every perspective of it. Monet died on December 5, 1926 of lung cancer, and left behind a unique legacy and a body of work that included over 2,500 paintings and drawings. In fact, in 2008, Le Bassin aux Nymphes sold at Christie's for over $36 million.